Dude,
You're,
what's
you're,
funny about my own
you're doing
face,
great.
none of us like our own face. And either my eyes are like too big and I'm like fucking fired up, or I'm like kind of like dimmed out and here, and here's what it is. We're
Well,
just going to work with
I
what we
think you
got
look
here,
great.
Sam. Thanks, buddy. That's all I was looking for, was
You're
just a
welcome.
compliment out of
No,
you.
you got it.
Oh shit! All right, let's get into it, because if I've learned anything, it's hard to resist just fucking having fun and chatting. Golly, what a day! Today we got our boy Sam Mackey on. I met him in a really deep discussion about stuffed squirrels, and other fun mounts and some of that. So that's really where I'm looking to go today, Sam. It's just really there. But
All right.
back me up. Tell me what I know. I know some goodies about you, but how would you describe yourself?
Father, number one, and entrepreneur, and just someone that's chasing it and working hard like everybody else, man. I'm
Yeah.
just I would compare myself to you, to everyone else that's just out there living this stressful dream, of starting a business and moving
Yeah.
forward. I tell you, it's more stressful than combat, most stressful thing I've ever done in my life. And
Yeah.
but it's rewarding in its own way. The little wins feel huge, sometimes, and then the big wins don't feel real, right? And then the big wins, I feel like, are always abruptly followed by a big loss. And just get that even keel, and remind myself that you're nobody, and you got to work hard every day. You miss a day,
Yeah.
you're going to pay the man. So.
Right, dude. That's God, and there's so much there, right? Why do you think it's harder than it? I mean, you did some kind of spicy shit in the military too. Why do you think that there's days where this feels more stressful than that?
Ain't no stress like financial stress, my man. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
no, but I've been trying to think about ways to verbalize, the difference between the SEAL teams and the culture, and that in the civilian world, and how to recreate that in the civilian world. And I'm not quite there yet, right? And on being able to truly articulate it well, according to my feelings. But one thing I realized, in the last couple of days, is the reason running a small business is harder is because the gratification takes forever. It takes a long time to see your work pay off, right? Vice in the SEAL teams, like, hey, we're going to go do this jump. We're going to go, hit this target. And, if you won or lost, by the end of the day, right? And so it's that instant gratification. Man. And I personally love the instant gratification.
We all do.
Yeah, right. But this is not it, right? It's like, hey, work and grind. And it's that so slow grind that reminds me of more, a Bud's style grind, where, hey, you're not going to see the fruits of your labor.
Yeah.
Right. And it just is what it is. And if you want to see the fruits of your labor, the people who make it just have the ability to, eat this shit sandwich every single day, day in and day out, and reap the benefits years later. Right. So
absolutely,
I'm hoping those benefits come, and I'm just not eating a shit sandwich for the rest of my life. But
it's funny. My brother Adam and I, kind of a saying we have between us is, you just need to get used to the taste of your own blood. Right. That is entrepreneurship. It is owning and running a company. And I think that, and exactly to your point, at the end of the day, if you're in an entrepreneurial kind of pursuit, there's an unlimited number of things you can do in a day. There is. You could always do something else for Outsider. Always. You could always post one more thing. You could make one more piece of content. You could tweak your SOPs. You could reach out. You can make business to business calls or business to consumer, right? You could always be pushing more and more. And so you go home at the end of the day, and it's really easy to feel like, oh, you failed again. Because when the back end is infinite, on the front end here, you're never going to get there, right? It's that hedonic horizon of it's always moving away from you.
Mhm.
And it's just, as you go, it grows, and as you grow, you dream more too, right?
Mhm.
And so you just go, well, it could be this, it could be that, and you're always chasing. And I think that there's a lot of people, no matter how high or far or whatever, that how big of a mountaintop or whatever it is they get to, they always feel that hey, I'm failing piece. um and so it's hard to anchor onto, well, this, I'm going to call this a success for today. I'm going to go home, I'm going to hug my kids, and I'm going to feel like I did right by them.
Yeah, that's a, you know, very well said, because it's hard for me to, sometimes I get down on myself, rough weeks turn into, rough months, and it just gets harder and harder. And then I have to,
Hmm.
recalibrate my thought process and say, okay, this conversation I just had, that was a win, right? It was a positive conversation. It was moving in the right direction. It could lead to something. It's not anything right now, as we sit
Yeah.
today, but it's momentum, right? And you just got to keep moving, because moving creates energy, and energy is what makes the
Hmm.
world go around, right? And energy will bring
Absolutely.
success if you just keep moving and keep moving. So that's what I try to do. Then I do the same thing, man. When I'm having a hard time, I just hug my kids. I have three little girls that are a lot in my life, and
Yeah.
they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care if I make $1 million tomorrow or lose everything tomorrow. You know what I
They
mean? They're
don't
not going
know
to know
any
the
different, do
difference,
they?
right?
They really
And
don't, man.
yeah,
And it's
so
really cool that I love that as I wanted to hear what you how you saw yourself today, because you did some cool shit on the military side. And you know, I think there's potential for guys to get caught in that and then kind of look at their life today and go, well, I've said this on another podcast too with Jesse, was just that idea. And I was never in the military, so I don't know this feeling, but they said, guys telling you, hey, you'll never be cooler than you are today. And just handing a guy like that, like, man, how are you supposed to move forward with that? And I know a lot of guys in that military space have a hard time moving forward out of that lifestyle, because it's adrenaline, it's all those things. It's a lot of There's a lot of uncertainty, but certainty at the same time, I would imagine, where hey, this is my mission, good guy, bad guy, whatever. And then you get out into this world and it's not as clear, and that transition is a little bit harder, I know. And so it was really cool to hear you kind of phrase it that way. And I am going to push to circle back a little bit to your career, but as a father, how wonderful is that, man? That's and it's pretty easy. People that have kids recognize it, go, yeah, it's not hard for you to go, yeah, this is my number one priority in life, is those three little girls.
you
How
know,
old are they, Sam?
they are 5, 7, and about to be 9, so they're all about
Okay.
20 months apart. So, uh, and now they're all three best friends, and it's great. I never thought I'd be, an all girl dad. But they call it, like the seal curse, where everyone has girls. And I
Yeah.
do remember one time we had a holiday party. This is a handful of years ago, maybe like 6, 7 years ago. And in my living room, I think we had like 9 or 10 kids in car seats amongst me and my friends. And there was one boy.
Yeah. Lucky
So,
him, right? he's gonna
yeah.
he's gonna be in the money here in about 12 years. He's gonna be like, I'm
Right.
surrounded. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
and also circling back to your previous statement is, a lot of guys do have trouble moving on, and I think
Yeah.
that's self-induced, right? I was fortunate enough to have some really good mentors in the SEAL teams, and one of them is a gentleman by the name of Corey Zillig, who's my hero. He's a freaking badass dude.
Mhm.
And I met him, right when I checked into the SEAL teams. Our wives became friends, and then we became friends. And he told me something. He's like, I know you think you're something special right now, but this is what I want you to do. Pretend you're putting your finger in the pool, and pull your finger out of the pool, and watch it. How quickly that water replaces the spot where your finger was. That's how quickly you could be replaced. Like, you mean nothing, and this train's going to keep moving no matter what. And the moment you think you're something special, watch. You'll get in trouble, or something bad will happen. You'll get hurt, and you'll get removed from that train, and that train just keeps going 100 miles an hour, and those
Mhm.
boys don't look back, right? And
Yeah.
so I've always thought of, that's always in my mind. In everything I do, just the fact that, holistically, a lot of people, the world doesn't give a shit about you, right? And no one cares, and now I learned that in business. And, I've dealt with folks that they will be happy to take every dollar, every piece of inventory, everything I
Yes.
have for free, and watch me sink and not feel bad
Yeah.
about it. Right. So, I just, maybe it's a little bit of a self protection mechanism as well. But then, the realization is, I'm not going to hang my hat on, oh, I was a Navy SEAL for the rest of my life, because that's who I was. It's not who I am. Right.
Yeah.
And because that train is, 1,000 miles past me. Shit, I
Yeah.
retired,
They
last
never
year.
stopped,
Like,
right? Yep.
new tactics, new everything. I'm a dinosaur, right? And
Yeah.
um, so it's not like I can, jump back in and right now, right? Because so much shit has changed, and it changes so quickly, and it's always changing. So now, I like to focus on just who I am now, not who I was, right?
Yeah. I love
I'm
that, man.
extremely thankful for all the experiences and all the travel, and I was having a conversation the other day, and I'm at the point where I don't think much surprises me anymore. In the SEAL teams,
Right.
and in life, it
Yeah.
draws a very interesting individual, right? And to go through all that training to make it, show up and put themselves through all of that just for the chance to, shoot somebody. It's a very interesting thought
Yeah.
process, right? It's like
Yeah. It really is.
and so you see just about everything, and so I'm thankful for my outlook and the perspective that the SEAL teams gave me. Now I'm just trying to move forward and take all the good things I learned and bring it into business and create a culture that can emulate that of a SEAL platoon. And the hardest part I found about that is the the reason the culture is so strong in the teams, is because everyone's working for something bigger than them, right?
Yeah.
And that is, the bird on your chest, the organization as a whole, and the giants that have walked before you,
Yeah.
and so there's no such thing as, oh, no, we're working 9 to 5. No, you just work till the job's done, right? And whenever
Right.
the job's done, then you go home. And if there's not shit to do, then make sure your department gear is squared away, and your personal gear squared away, and then team gear squared away, and go home, right?
Yeah.
But how can you bring that work ethic and that organizational buy-in into the civilian world? If you're not in business with your brother or your family, right? Because you guys can share a common goal, but
Yeah.
um,
And I'm lucky
and
that way because we
yeah,
are, we all work together for the most part.
hmm
I guess all of us do. All of the siblings, there's 5 of us, right? 4 brothers and a sister. And most people say, how could you be in business together with family? But we, luckily, I think it's, I don't know, some sort of sick version of we're all going to outwork each other, and so it really works. And I think that then the employees see that and we hold that line, and so we've been lucky that way. But I think the other thing that I imagine is it feels pretty black and white on any military, for most of the military side, where it's a very black and white world. And in the civilian world, especially in the entrepreneurial world, there's a lot of color in there, right? There's a lot of shades of color and different personalities, and people. There are people that are just there for a job. They're not there. It's barely a career to certain employees, and so they're not there. They haven't signed their life away to show. They didn't sign on that line going, "I'm all in," right? And there was no big thing there. It was just they're just a guy that shows up at 8 o'clock if you're lucky, and if you're lucky, they've eaten breakfast already and combed their hair, with some on the trades side, right? It's so often how I'll be sitting in the office and I'll see guys come in that are on that more labor side of the businesses, and they'll grab we keep Jocko's in all the fridges, and they'll grab a protein shake and a new drink, and then a bar. And I'm like, that guy just got his breakfast and maybe his lunch out of the fridge. And now he's going to go put in his 8 hours. And that's okay, right? Like, it's okay to love on them that way. And for us, we will see some of those people work their way. They'll start to see the culture. They'll start to see how the people that have moved up in the company, or one of the companies that, okay, here's what those guys tend to do. They tend to show up a little earlier. We have bookshelves everywhere in the buildings. They tend to grab a book or two and read, and then ask questions, and then they move up. So it's interesting to see in that way. But I think that, as you get out and you look at kind of what you guys are doing as you're pushing on this entrepreneurial side, again, for you, that the kids landed at the front of that, and you go, hey, no matter what I do, win, lose, or draw on this deal, like, those girls aren't going to know, right? They're really not. And I think it's good for your kids to see you struggle and maybe fail once in a while too, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's good. It's
Oh
good for
yeah.
them to see that dad's trying something that's hard.
Mm-hmm. And because they're not going to know me as, a soldier or anything like that. They're too young, right? And
Hmm.
I asked my middle daughter, Josie. I asked her, like, what do you tell your friends that I do for work? She goes, "Oh, I tell them you used to shoot bad guys. Now you sell cups." I'm like,
She summed
"That's
it
what you're
up,
telling
didn't
everybody
she?
in our new neighborhood?" I'm like, "You're
But
not
it's
wrong."
that would be a great introduction for you, bud. I mean,
Yeah,
that's it, right? Yeah.
yeah. But
Yeah.
and then also back to what you were talking about before about employees and everything. What something that I've realized is in this world, you're every deal you do, every person you hire, you're betting on someone's intent, right? And
Mm,
it's unclear, exactly what their intent is. Are they just looking to, fill the gap, for a little bit and then move on? Are they really bought in? And it's a gamble. You're gambling on someone's personal intent, personal almost endeavors, and you hope that it, aligns and or with your organization and or they come into yours and buy into the culture and and live
yeah.
that way. But it's a um, very interesting way to go about life, or to look at it
Yeah.
through this lens. Is just, hey
Yeah.
man, what is your intent? And you're not going to get a true answer. Maybe you do sometimes, they're good, but more than likely they're going to tell you what you want to hear because they're trying to do a deal also and or trying to get hired. So it's navigating those waters is very.
Absolutely. And I think for you, like as an entrepreneur and the owner, you're trying to set that tone that is that um this dream team, this we're going to go conquer the world, we'll put a dent in the
Mhm.
universe, all those kind of mentalities around your business. And at the same time, you're trying to accomplish balance with your life as well as be a good father. I'm assuming, you're trying to make up a little bit of time because you probably had to travel a fair bit in the SEALs. And so
Mhm.
with
Yep.
your daughters, if you're like me, um, every weekend, every breakfast, every, drive to school or from school is precious to me.
Yes, man.
Right. Every time my daughter's
Mhm.
16 now, but if I can watch TV and she'll snuggle with me again, I don't care who calls me on the phone at that point. Like I'm like, my little
Mhm.
girl is here with me. You
Yep.
can eat shit. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like this is priority. And so, but as an entrepreneur as well, there's this temptation or this story we tell ourselves where we have to, and some of it's true, this story, but kind of that first in, last to leave mentality, lead from the front mentality. And so balancing that desire and that real need to lead from the front and set that tone for the company and also be an amazing father and, a great husband and everything else you want to be within your community. And it's definitely, I think that pressure, there's a lot of stuff pulling on you, right? It can
Mhm.
feel like a heavyweight.
Yeah, it's quite the conundrum, and I've been struggling with this a lot lately. Is I'm trying to, of course, you guys know how it is. Being on the road is just part of the game. You have to get
Yeah.
out there. You have to, represent your brand, your organization at certain events, and you have to go to meetings. And otherwise, no one will ever hear about you, right? So it's that part and wanting to be successful, but then also balancing the home life because, like we mentioned before, like the kids don't care, right? And they don't
No.
know about your wins and losses or your finances, and they don't know and they
Yeah.
don't care, right? So you're trying to better their life, in the long run, but you also can't let it get away from you, right? And
Yeah.
and when trying to build something better for them, when all they need is that time on the couch with you, so it,
Hmm.
it, it's a battle, right? And it's something I battle with every single day, putting my computer away, putting my phone down, and just being engaged with them, when they're at home and pushing work off to the side. Of course, I feel like every time I push work off to the side, no matter what time of day it is, I feel like a turd, right?
Yeah.
And I don't want that internal feeling, but I also want my kids to know that I love them more than anything in this world. So, and
Right.
it's a dance.
It's really hard, especially when you're at the top of it, from the organizational piece, and there's nobody to tell you like, Sam, you did a good job today, man. That's definitely something you don't get in the
Yeah,
entrepreneurial world is like a pat on the back
yeah,
or a
yeah.
little report card that says you did really well. You did everything we asked you to do. We're proud of you. No, there's none of that as an entrepreneur.
It's the loneliest thing I've ever done,
Absolutely,
and
man.
it's a crazy. I felt like I was, I first of all, I hate being alone. I hate hotels. I just hate being alone. I'm a people person,
Yes.
right? If I stay in a
Yeah.
hotel, I'm downstairs, almost to the bar closes. Then I'll go to my room and go right to sleep and wake up and leave, right? And go
Yep.
back down and get a
Yep.
cup of coffee or something like that. And then, you know, to your point, it is extremely lonely, right? And I can't. I don't want to turn and bitch to anybody. My wife doesn't want to. She's heard all my shit 10 times over, right? So I'm not trying to
Yeah.
bring it to her. So then you just kind of left by yourself, and it's an interesting way to grow too, though. You know.
It's a
So
trip, and
yeah.
because I think that, and I'm sure that I'm wrong here, and there's a lack of wisdom on this, but that protector provider energy that especially us men that really have lived in that world, and that's what we focus on, is that kind of protector provider piece. There are a lot of times when you're struggling in business, you're afraid, you're eating shit, it's not working, and the people that count on you, your wife mostly, you can't really. I guess you could, the right woman maybe, but there's a lot of ego in there around sharing that I'm scared. I think I'm failing, you know,
Mhm.
and whatever else is in there underneath all those layers. To the person that for me, is my closest relationship, right?
Mhm.
And also, you kind of have to like, okay, I'm getting home. Let's put all that aside. Let's hide it. Let's do whatever. We'll put on the face. But I've had so many of those moments where, I'm trying to cook breakfast and the kids are talking about school and what's hard for them. And they're handing me those things too. And I'm supposed to help support that. And I love that I get to. And then you look at your phone and you'll get an email that's like, oh, somebody just served you. There's a lawsuit waiting for you at the
Mhm.
office, or, hey, so and so, backed out of this deal. There goes $60,000,
Yeah.
and
Mhm.
you're supposed to just keep a straight face, right? And
Yeah.
then your wonderful wife is mad because your son forgot his lunchbox, and that's a really big deal. And you're just sitting here looking at your phone like, yeah, it is a big deal. Let's talk about
Yeah.
lunchboxes for a minute.
It's
And yeah,
talk about mental resiliency. That's what it builds, and it's very
yeah,
interesting.
yeah,
And then, explaining an issue or, a problem or something like that with your spouse is fine. And, I try to do it, but it's the context of the issue. Like it's going to take me an hour for me to explain the issue, then tell you what's wrong. Because I mean,
mm-hmm,
you know how what goes into, any deal or there's so many personalities, so many levers that need to be pulled for it to all move in one direction. It's moving in that direction and it gets derailed. you know the if you really want to explain and try to have her understand how I feel, it takes a long time, right? And
mm-hmm,
sometimes I just don't have that time either, right? And
yeah,
so it's a battle, man, and
yeah,
it's one that I'm just proud to fight. Like it's
yeah,
hard, and I tell myself, I'm like, okay, these are those hard times that that successful business owners talk about. And like
yep.
everyone says congratulations when when you're pregnant, but they don't know how many times you got
You
fucked to
get
get there,
fucked.
right?
Yes.
And
Freaking so true. It's so
right,
true.
and
Yeah, absolutely.
it's like, oh, you're lucky.
Yeah,
I hate that saying. Not that I get told it much, but
yeah,
luck has nothing to do with it. It's just that momentum and creating that energy to put the right people in front of you, and keep up with the
yeah,
relationships. That's another hard thing. I'd love to talk to you more. You know what I mean?
yeah,
And
yeah,
and a lot of stuff falls to the side, so it's a balancing game, right? And I'm still
yeah, it
trying to
is.
figure it out. I think reconnecting and maintaining the relationships is probably one of the most important things. And one thing that I have on my calendar now is like just call someone once a week that we haven't talked to and
Yeah,
just reestablish that relationship, keep that rapport, and because one thing, I enjoy people. Right? I enjoyed your
yeah,
company since we were standing shoulder to shoulder, at the Field Ethos party in
yeah.
Dallas, right? And so it's
Dude,
kind of stupid. It's stupid not to
yeah,
keep in contact with you, even if it's just a
yeah,
BS text or a quick 5-minute phone call,
absolutely.
right? So
A
I
picture
think
of a
it's
stuffed squirrel. Dude, you had my back at that party, man. I've told that story a bunch. Uh, and from my perspective, we're standing, there's four of us, me, you, what I now know is Cole Hauser,
Yeah.
also known as Rip,
Mhm.
right? And somebody else. And I'm just bullshitting because I don't know. I'm not a cool kid, bro. I'm not a cool kid. There was lots of cool kids at that party. I wasn't one of them. And I'm just bullshitting like normal old dudes, man. I don't know him or you from Adam. And we're talking about good shit, right? Kids and his son playing football and all that. But then I keep kind of slipping in there like, man, I know you from somewhere, right? Like, where do I know you from? And you're just sitting there with a whiskey in your hand, just laughing at me. And he finally steps away and you're like, dude, have you seen Yellowstone? And I'm like, yeah. He's like, that's Rip. And I'm like, oh shit, it is Rip, isn't it? And I'd only watched like an episode of Yellowstone at the time, but I mean, I knew. It's funny. I knew his name more because my daughter, that at that time, that was what her and her friends called me. They kind of referred to me as Rip, which I freaking loved because as a father, you want the boys in her class, you want them to be really afraid of you, right? You want them to think I will kill you, right?
Mhm.
And so anyway, you had my back. He stepped away and you said, hey, that was Rip, you dumb shit, And so I appreciate you. I appreciate you there. And I agree too, man. That's the fun thing about some of those kind of gatherings is where I'm a big believer in sort of frequency of men, especially because I'm not going to those parties trying to talk to women, right? It's, I talking to my boys and you just kind of find yourself, it's really cool to throw yourself like, boom, in this big room. And then you kind of that vibration, I think those frequencies start to like attract to each other. And you kind of end up with like a whiskey in your hand next to a guy. You go, this dude's got a sick vibe. There's something there. And there's other dudes you're like, I hope he doesn't fucking come over here, man, because I do not want to talk to this guy. He's kind of side eyeing and he's afraid and he, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And it's those men that kind of go like, I've been there. I've eaten some shit. You know what I mean? I know who I am. I've had to sit there in the dirt and go, am I going to pick myself up or not? Right. And you can see that. You can see men that have had to go through that a couple times. And to circle back a little bit to the entrepreneurship thing for you, I think that's why you're attracted to it. I'm just going to say that for you is like, you want something that like, it's a 50-50, right? I might win, I might fail. And I want those odds against me because I want to find, you realize there's something in you you're going to find as you start to move into something that's hard and you go, there's a great chance of failure, but I'm going to go because I want to find what's inside of here. Right. As I step into this, it scares me. So that's exactly what you want.
And I'm just learning so much about myself and how to deal with different problem sets. And because they're new problems. Like every problem I face is a new problem, and I learn something new almost every day. And just how to navigate those problems mentally, right? And how to not feel sorry for yourself, and how to keep your head up and just keep plugging away. And my mantra that I come up with is, when you get bad news, the only thing that can make bad news better is hard work, right? And the only thing that can make, when you get good news, the only thing that can make good news great is hard work. And when you get great news, the only way to, get more great news is hard work. Like that's it.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that you could do. And as long as me personally, as long as I do that and I feel like I've worked the full day and I'm satisfied, the results are the results. And but it wasn't up for my lack of effort.
Absolutely. How do you refuel? You said, a little bit ago, you talked about the energy to do that. Where do you go to get that energy for those young guys that are just getting into this? How do you tap into that refuel? Like, how do you refuel your battery?
I don't know, man. That's a great question. And I really don't have any one set thing, right? I would say it would be turkey hunting or deer hunting or something like that, really recharges me. But that's not something I do every day, right? So that's not something I can depend on, right? When it happens, it's nice, right? So, but I think
is hunting something, is it a carrot you're dangling as a reward, or is it something that you go, this is just me, I get to sit in the woods and just be
I call it
quiet
tree
for a
stand
couple
therapy.
days? 1,000%.
Yeah, just being out there and watching the woods come awake and we're about to go to sleep, and seeing an armadillo or a possum come out, or a groundhog climb a tree, something you've never seen before, right? And or a bird land on your on your tree stand. It's really not about the harvest for me anymore. That's great. It's the cherry on top, but it's just
Yeah.
being outside and, connecting with nature. I think that's just good for the soul, man. So I try to do that as much as possible, but on a daily level, I think it's just a quick self-reflection, of where I'm at and where I want to be. And
Hmm.
it could be, 5 seconds, and then
Yeah.
I just move forward. Right. And
Yeah.
I, I related often to, like my first time stepping out of a striker on a real world op. I stepped out in the
Hmm.
middle of the day and it's in Baghdad, and I look around and there's a lot of shit going on, and my heart was thumping. And for a second, I look over the wall and there's guys with their hands in the air. There's just a lot of shit going on already by the time I
I can't imagine. Yeah.
and for a split second, I looked up, and it took me like 2 seconds to make a decision. Okay, is this who I am, or I'm moving forward? And I just forgot about it and moved forward. And
Yeah.
so I don't know if I had the ability to do it beforehand, but I think I just have the ability to just assess real quick and move. And
Right.
so it's no like sauna, cold plunge, meditation or anything. All those things I need to
Yeah.
start doing more of, and because
Yeah.
they're great, but
Yeah.
it's just not how I operate on a daily level. And
You've got
that's
three
just
little
me.
kids, man. I mean, the oldest
Yeah.
being 9. Like saunas and cold plunges are great. It's it's those. I saw a funny meme that was that something about you know the morning routine, and it was like, okay, whatever, 22-year-old with no kids, and you know what I mean,
Hmm.
a corporate job, of course you've got that kind of extra time, but until you've got kids, man, and I hate saying that it's hard, it's just different. But it's you're up, somebody can't find their shoes, you're trying to feed them whatever they'll eat, and backpack, where's it at? Is it in mom's car? Is it in dad's car? Right? All these things. Get a load of laundry in. If you can make the bed, that's pretty cool. And then you get here, and it's a trip. Even as I come to record these podcasts, it's always funny, this juxtaposition of getting here and we're talking all this shit, but the reality is that you had to kind of deal with real life. None of us, me, you, or Tyrell, who's sitting behind the computer for us today, like none of us are just like, what are you doing today? I'm just going to record a podcast, right? I mean, we're trying to make margin to do this thing and create
Hmm.
a gap that's big enough for you and I to really connect and actually get into it and put everything else down, right? So even that, like for me, putting the phone on do not disturb and all those things, and there's a little piece of you goes, oh God, I'm going to turn that back on, and it's going to be full, right?
Yeah. Hmm.
But if it's not full, then you freak out there too, right? It's like you freak out either way, right? And so it's that crazy game with entrepreneurship. A thing I like to say a lot, Sam, is just don't hate the player, hate the game, right? And I use that in the way with businesses, is really trying to kind of put it away someplace, right?
Hmm.
And I talked like the other night, I was talking to one of my brothers, and I was like, it's like you're fighting a bear and you got to go to bed, and you just tell the bear, like, hey, we'll fight again tomorrow. If you wouldn't mind, just go sit over in the corner. You wait, let me get some sleep, and I'll wake up ready to go again. And we'll put on the gloves and we'll go. I'm down for that, right? But it's just that idea of like, and especially in entrepreneurship, and so many of us let it get to, we could go forever about how it pulls in to become part of our identity, right? And it's who you are, and somebody at a party asks you, what do you do? And you don't say, well, I feed my kids. You go straight to your business or whatever you do for
Hmm.
a trade. But I really I work hard to really separate the player in the game, right?
Hmm.
And think of it like an arena we're stepping into. It's a fun battle, right? But eventually we got to step out. We got to go be a dad, a girl dad, especially, where you might be getting your nails painted tonight or today at lunch or whatever,
We did that Saturday morning.
Yeah, baby. I love it.
Yeah.
And I used to love like going to jits with my toenails painted, and people are like, what are you doing? And I'm like, yeah, bro, I got a daughter.
Yep.
And it's just, man, it's the freaking best, man. And I would trade everything I own today to go back and do it again with my girl. I would. I'd give it all up, and I would do all the hard work it took to earn it again, happily, to go kind of hold her as a 4-year-old or a 5-year-old and be her daddy again there.
I know, right? right? They grow so damn quick, and it makes me sad.
Yeah.
It really does. But,
Yeah.
and I do agree with with your player and game, and then also your bear analogy. And
Yeah.
this is one thing I've been thinking a lot of lately is why don't more founders, CEOs of companies work together, right? And because
Mm.
everyone's fighting their own battle, and and it's a hard fight. It's that grizzly bear fight, and you're going to wake up, and that bear's going to get rest too, right? And you're going to
He's
wake up
just sitting
there,
in the corner just waiting,
yep,
right? He's like, I'm
right.
here. Tell
And
me when, right?
that's what he was bred to do, right? And
Yeah.
so the odds are against you. And what I'd like to see is CEOs of large companies and small companies just band together and be like, hey, has been my recipe for success, and this is what I've done this is my recipe for failure, right? And share
Yeah.
those and just link arms and be like, hey, what do you need? Man, it'd really help if you could blast an email out for me, because I know your email list is 700,000 strong, and because I just bought
Hmm.
$700,000 worth of inventory and I'm trying to move through
Yeah.
it. Hey, sure, no
Yeah.
problem. Like, but it doesn't happen. It's like, no, I have mine, you have yours, and we all work in these silos, man. And
Yeah.
it makes it makes that alone feeling come out in me even more, right? And I know other folks
Yeah.
feel it, and
Yes.
so we're fighting against something that everyone wants, just out
Yeah.
the little self gratification, or like, hey, this is mine, and no one else can have it, right? When if that's yours and you're alone as an organization, you don't work with other people that well,
Yeah.
then you're going to plateau, right? But if we all link
Yeah.
arms and
Yeah.
and go forward, we can create a monster, right?
Right.
And
Right.
so that's what I wish would happen more in the
Yeah.
in our space, right? It's just true servant leadership with authenticity, and move forward and do great things, right?
Yeah,
And
absolutely. And I think
this
that
this
authenticity is
selflessness,
always going to win, dude. Like it is
yeah,
always going to win, especially with what you guys are doing with Outsider. It does win. It has to be there. I think that it's just that timeline sometimes is hard to understand uh how long it takes to really take hold. But also, yes, I mean it's funny how many people will cheer you on from a distance. Um and then when it really comes time to like the rubber hits the road and you go, okay, now I'm gonna, would you mind helping? They go, well, you know, it's yeah, maybe not, maybe. And it's always interesting to see. And then, I tend to use those as like, okay, all right, buddy. You know what I mean? You're gonna
hmm
see, I'll prove you wrong. And that's, I have pretty well fueled my life by fuck you, you know what I mean, forever. And so
hmm
it tends to just be more like it just helps me. Maybe that's not right. I don't know, but it tends to be something where I really, I really have latched onto that as fuel for me. Speaking of fuel, what flavor are we rocking this morning, Bubba?
Oh, just that Zen 6 wintergreen.
Wintergreen.
If you're a gas station in Middle Tennessee and I walk in, I'm buying them all, right? Because they're hard to come by,
Yeah,
And
yeah.
but then I got a little Alp 6 mixed in there, for when I want something to last a little longer. The flavor's a
Uh
little
huh.
different, they're just a little different. But I do enjoy the Alps sometimes too, so I sprinkle
Yeah.
those in there. So it's really a
Yep.
little bit of a smorgasbord in that can. But
A smorgasbord. I have a buddy I trained with in college that was from Sweden, and I was
oh
like, dude,
shit.
what words do we use from Sweden? Like, what do we have in the English language? I'm coffee today.
Okay.
I like coffee. Well, we're gonna touch on something from Brian Peters, but anyway, uh, Matthias, my Swedish teammate in college that we were throwing together, I was like, what words come from Sweden? What did we have in the U.S. from Sweden? And he said, well, you got ABBA. And I didn't, at the time, I didn't know who ABBA was. In hindsight, I knew some of their songs, but I didn't know. I'm like, I have no idea. And he lost his shit that I didn't know who ABBA was, right? And then he goes, I think the only word I can think of is smorgasbord, you know? So Sweden has given us the word smorgasbord and ABBA, you know? So, and now probably to some extent, nicotine pouches, right? I think that's a big
hmm
that's a big thing over there. I don't know if I think
Oh
most
yeah, I remember
playing.
going overseas, and they had it was finding Swedish dip for the first time. I dipped Copenhagen for like 18 years, right? And
Yeah.
or before that, actually, I got started on Kodiak wintergreen.
Yeah.
The only bear you can pinch, you know what I mean? And uh, and then we were overseas, and I forget who we were working with, maybe the Danish. I can't remember. And they had this dip, and it came in a silver can, silver plastic tin, and it was like mud almost. It was so fine. And I mean, you put it clearly, I don't know the nicotine, difference between Copenhagen and it, but it had a lot higher nicotine content,
Yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
and it knocked you on your ass. The flavor wasn't the best, but you just rolled into like
Yeah.
little rabbit turds and put it in there. And I remember,
Really? And so it
I'm
would
like,
just
man,
stick together.
oh yeah. And I remember I'm like, man, I just can't wait till I can get my hands on some more Copenhagen. But
Yeah.
it filled the gap, right?
Have you ever tried to buy nicotine in Canada? It's a
No,
horrible experience, man.
I
It's a
I
horrible
I haven't
experience.
been to Canada since I was like 18. I don't think.
You're fine. Don't go.
Yeah.
I was up there hunting. I went and hunted bears with John and Jen Rivet. I don't know if you met them at Winter Strong, but went
I'm
on a
not too
black
sure if I
bear
did.
hunt, which is they cook everything. They're the cooks in the
Okay. Yep.
kitchen. So you
Hmm.
you would have at least loved them because Jen's cooking. But it stopped by a gas station there, and what a bummer, man. It's basically like kind of like state issue. It's all in these like what looks like a snap-on kind of locked cabinet. You can't see anything. It's a horrible experience, right? You just like
Really?
you look at this little white printed label, and it's there, and it was basically like, I can't. I just don't. I really don't enjoy Copenhagen anymore.
Hmm.
Since I've gone to like the gentleman's pouch over here,
Same here.
and
Hmm.
and it's just what a bummer. That's all you had. Like they're like you either go real hard because you're back in the bush too. So I think they just go like you either can or you can't, Bubba. You're we don't get fancy up here. And then there's all these warnings around like you're gonna die if you take anything out of this
Hmm.
cabinet. Skull and crossbones, you're dead, right? Except for like the donuts straight behind me are just fine. You can buy as many of those fuckers as you want. Here you go, heart disease. But yeah, it's what a bummer in Canada, man.
And that's
You
what
guys ought
happens.
to.
And that's what happens when they don't have an iconic individual like the Marlboro Man leading them into freedom in the 80s. You know what I mean?
Oh, baby. Dude, I took one of the Marlboro men to Washington, D.C. with an honor flight years ago.
Really?
And dude, he was still fucking awesome. Leather coat. Like, he just never stopped being the Marlboro Man, right? Like,
Oh, dude,
we went to
just
D.C.
living
and he was. And just, it was so funny, dude. Even like, because when you go, it was with honor flight. So you go as like what you call yourself a guardian, right? I called it wiping the ass of freedom, right? So, because you take your World War II veterans out there and you room with them, right? And you just whatever it takes, right? You're going to get them out. They're going to go see the World War II Memorial, Vietnam, all of that. Which, what a deal, man. But yeah, I was one of the guys that was in my group. I wasn't his guardian. He didn't need a fucking guardian. He's the Marlboro Man. You know what I mean? But he was on the trip. He was on the trip, dude. Leather jacket, good looking as ever. There were quite a few Marlboro Men, I guess, as he told it to me. He was one of those. Yeah, I was the Marlboro Man from like 63 to 68 or something like that is what he was. But I think he was a Korea War vet. Dude, man, that just made me think. There was a moment I was standing at the Iwo Jima Memorial, the Korean, it's the Marines Memorial, I think is what they call it, but it was a standing of the flag, right?
Yep.
It's Iwo Jima, right?
Yep.
Yeah. And the dude I had taken on that particular trip, we're standing there, and I'm looking at it, and I just, these guys are old, so you're just like, please don't fall. That's usually that's all you're looking at. You're looking at the little cracks and steps, like the whole time in Washington. But he kind of scooches over, and I'm standing next to him, like, what's he doing? He scooches, and then he goes, right here. And I'm like, what's right here? He goes, this is where I was standing.
What?
Yeah. And he goes, but that wasn't so-and-so. That was, this guy. And this was this guy, And I'm just sitting there going, what the fuck, dude? He hadn't said anything about, you know what I mean? We're just going. Doesn't say anything about the trip. These guys, they don't talk, right? They're not, our generation, we'd be bragging it up the whole time, right? Oh, I was here and he just goes, this is where I was standing. And man, I can't tell you, guys that go as guardians, I say, get some dark fucking sunglasses because you're going to be crying. And dude, I just blown away, you know.
I just got goosebumps
And
when you said that. I don't know what I
dude,
would do if I was there, in real
you
time,
want to just hug him and
hit
just be
with
like, I
that.
love you,
Wow.
thank
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and at it was the same trip. Another guy starts crying there, and he goes, "If these guys hadn't done this, I'd be dead today." He goes, 3 days after they took this island, I had to crash land a bomber on this island,
Mm-hmm.
and he goes, and if I had to crash land on this island and it was still occupied or whatever the
Mm-hmm.
term is for it, he
Yep.
goes, I'd be dead, you know. And so he's crying, just thankful for. I mean, what a different. We stand there, go, it's a neat piece of bronze, and it's iconic in our minds. But we don't really get the impact of, other guys looking at going, these guys saved my life,
Mm-hmm.
And there's shit, I could go all day about those guys, man. I mean, I was pushing the doctor around at Vietnam, the memorial for Vietnam, and he was a doc in Vietnam, and he's just bawling, man. And he's just looked at these names. He goes, I wonder how many of these guys I could have saved that I didn't, as a doctor. He goes, how many of these lives that I tried to save that died? I don't know who came and went when I was over there. He goes, but a lot of these guys are people that I probably, could have tried harder for, And dude, those trips are amazing. But yeah, wiping the ass of freedom, baby. That's I loved it. And
in that, man. Send me some information.
It's pretty sick,
that.
man. Yeah. There's probably like a local chapter. What's really sad, right, is we're on the back end of our World War II vets.
Mm-hmm.
And I got really lucky being able to take some of those World War II just mean fuckers, dude. Yeah. You don't live to 95 years old and not be a little mean. Mm-hmm. And so that's the other thing I would tell guys, like, hey, here's the deal, bud. If somebody's 95, 100, like, there's some nice guys. There's a lot of nice guys in there, but I'll tell you, you got to be a stubborn prick to live that long, because that's long. And so just know what you're getting yourself into.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so those guys, they are hard-nosed sons of bitches, Mm-hmm. And so I had a couple guys that would grunt me, and they're all old and they're freaking cold. And so I'd be in my room. I'd have it cranked to 92 degrees. He'd have all of my blankets. I'm laying in my underwear on my bed, just like, please, Jesus, let me just get 5 minutes of sleep. You know what I mean? And yeah, it's a trip, but I'll get you some information on that. Tyrell, don't let me forget just to look up. But there's probably an honor flight close to you. But, mm-hmm. Now we're taking, you saw some Korea War guys you're taking out, which in its own right was a horrible, I'll call it a war, right? I think they call it a conflict or something, but fuck that. Like, that was horrible. And then you take a lot of Vietnam guys now, which is, they all have their own thing, right? The Vietnam guys, when you pull up to a memorial and there's a class of kids there with posters, a lot of times they'll front load, they'll send out names, and then there's some classes that are in Washington, D.C. They'll come out and make a poster. They'll say, hey, Tom Jones or whatever, thanks for your service to a Vietnam guy. And that in itself is this huge healing thing for those Vietnam boys, because they've never had that welcome home, right? So there's so many of them. Again, you're crying because they're like, this is the first welcome home I've ever gotten in my life. Mm-hmm. And so it's just every generation has that, and we'll have our own for you guys. There will be something there that we'll find, and I don't have the wisdom around that. That's not something I understand, but it's good, Sam, and you'll enjoy it. It's good for your heart, man. It's so good for your heart.
Mm-hmm. Those those selfless acts, and of course, I want to go out in a little bit of self-serving, just to experience.
It's for sure self-serving. And I got more out of it than they did, admittedly.
Exactly, right. And but it's things like experiences like that teach you life lessons that you can't get anywhere else, right? Yeah. And just being around that caliber of human being, and that's had this much time on Earth. I mean, you can just sit back and learn so much from, even if someone that doesn't talk, from their demeanor, how they act, where they position themselves in crowds, and why they do that. And there's just so much to be learned there.
Yeah, there is, man. So it's shit. I don't even know how we got there with the Iwo Jima thing, but Marlboro Man, Canada, don't go buy nicotine in Canada. But you guys really should go hunting bears with John and Jen. In Canada, dude, it's a trip. I mean, it's not a hard hunt, right? You go out, Jen and John, you go bait. I mean, it's hilarious, bro. Like, you'll be hanging half a dead beaver. I mean, he starts out whole, and then John gets out his machete and he fucking whacks his beaver in half, and you go hang it from a tree. While you're doing it, there's two bears like just waiting for the dinner bell. You know what I mean? I think they hear that side by side pulling out into the woods, and they just know. And so you're sitting there, you got your bow in your hand and your lawn chair, right? And John's hanging a half a beaver, dumping some whatever old grease on the barrel, put some grain in there. And then he puts in your lawn chair and he's like, see you later, and you're like, all right, hopefully a big one shows up. And what a trip, dude, just to sit there on the ground. And sometimes, I mean, it was about 50-50 in the tree stand or on the ground. Usually if you're on the ground, somebody like Jen or John will be with you with a shotgun. But I mean, dude, and you think you're safe in a tree until you scare a bear and you see him climb 30 feet in a tree in about 4 seconds. And then you're sitting in your tree stand going, this don't mean shit, I mean, I had one bear start to climb my tree as I opened up a bag of trail mix, M&Ms and peanuts. And it was like, dude, he's over there messing with, there was 2 of them. I think they might have been, felt like they were brothers, but they were grown up like boars. And I opened up my little bag and I'm like, I'm going to need some, they're eating, I'm going to eat. We're just going to have a little snack together. Dude, about 5 seconds after I opened that thing, they must have caught wind of it. And they both just like beeline to my tree,
really?
And I'm like, no, fuck. I'm like, zip, put that away, and then one of them starts to climb the tree. And I'm like, oh God, like, I guess I'll just throw the peanuts off and hope he, goes to the peanuts and not me. But I had my little strap that had that I used to pull my bow up, and I'm like kind of whipping at him with the strap. I'm like, please, please, please go back down. And he got about 6 feet up and he looked and he's like, all right, I'll leave, but dude, you really should go out there. Yeah, you and Jay need to go out there and hang out with those guys for a week. It is a goddamn blast.
It's probably my favorite thing. And
it's amazing.
I shot one bear, I believe it was 2009. It was my first bear in Virginia. And that really got me hooked because I've never had the opportunity to go bear hunting before. So it was the week of Thanksgiving, if I remember correctly. And I had like a 4-day hunt booked and went up to Luray, Virginia and met with this outfitter. And same thing, he dropped me off early in the morning. There was no baiting or anything up there though. And I just told him I wanted to sit all day. I said, I've never had an opportunity to bear hunt and I don't want, a bear to come out at noon while I'm back at the camp doing nothing.
Yeah.
Right. And so I'd rather just sit up here and haze myself all day for an opportunity. So I did that 3 or 4 days in a row. I forget if it was, but I was on my last evening and I was heading home the next morning and I hear something and I'm in a tree stand on the side of a hill. So there's a steep incline.
Yeah.
And I look back behind me, which is downhill, and I see the back of something and I'm like, man, I don't know if there's hogs up here or what, but the noise it was making kind of, reminded me of a hog. And I never bear hunted before. And I've done a lot of hog hunting at the time. And then it looks up and I'm like, oh shit, it's a bear.
That's a bear. Okay. Yeah.
And the sun's going down and it's going down quick, man. And I'm like, okay, hopefully it goes over this log because it was on the backside of a log, like digging for worms or grubs and stuff. And it never came over the log. So I'm like, okay, I'm just going to make this happen. So I turned around in the tree stand and now I'm straddling the tree, right? And I reach my arm around the tree and use my arm as a rest and put my rifle, I got my rifle like this and the tree's right here. So I finally get in position and he's looked up a couple times at me, but then went right back to eating. And I finally get on him. And the guide told me before the first day, he's like, hey, don't shoot a bear in the face. And because he gave me the old, like, their skulls are so thick, it'll, bounce off of them. And I have a 308 bolt gun and I'm shooting, a full metal jacket. I'm like, man, there's no way this bear's skull can stop this thing, right? It'll dent steel and or go through, thin steel.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I'm just gonna do it. And I scraped the tree with my elbow and he looked up and I put my crosshairs right in between his eyes and let one rip and he collapsed. I'm like, oh, boom, got it done. And then he stands up and starts hitting this tree, hitting the ground, crawls over the log, and then falls back down. And I'm like, okay.
You better put another one in the chamber, dude.
No,
yeah.
I didn't. I just watched it. I don't know why. I'm sure I reloaded. Out of, habit.
Yeah, just have it. Yeah.
And then, so he lays back down for the second time. I'm like, all right, I got him. And then he gets up maybe, I don't know, 10, 30 seconds later at the most and walks off. And for some reason, I just watched him walk off. I don't know why I didn't shoot him again. Like,
as you're like, you win, bud.
I was just amazed.
Put one on your skull.
I hit this bear in the ear, and just pissed it off or something. And then now I'm just sitting there in disbelief, and then I hear, "Bruh," and I hear him gargling blood. I'm like, oh, maybe I like pulled the shot and hit him in the throat or something. And so then I whip out my Razor phone that I think I had at the time and call the guide. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, I just shot a bear, and I heard the death moan, and he's like, all right, I'll be right up the mountain. He comes and gets me, and this bear climbed up on top of this rock, and looks like a murder scene. There's blood everywhere. So I'm like,
Oh, good.
okay, and walk up to him, and he goes, oh, okay, and he flips over. He's like, there's the exit wound, good exit wound, and the exit wound's right here. I'm like, but now he's like, I'm trying to find entrance wound. I'm like, So I look up at his head, and it's just off center and right in between
Oh
the
my
eyes.
God.
I'm like, it's right here. He's like, how the hell did this happen? I'm like, well, he was at an angle, so I think what happened, he was looking up at me, and I was in a tree, right? So I was pretty far above him, and I shot him, and it went, through his brain, down through his throat, blew out some of his lung, and came out here. And I'm like, yeah, I shot him in the head. He was the only shot I had. And then he goes, well, that works, dead bear, And
yeah, you're like, he's gonna chew my ass. Yeah.
oh, I was scared to tell him, And
Yeah, for sure.
but it all worked out real well. And then after that, a handful of years ago, I started bear hunting in Maine. There's a Army warrant officer. He retired and has a little outfitter up there, and had great success up there. And that's over bait, and
Yeah.
killed a couple nice bears up there. So been thankful for that. But I've been bear hunting out in Montana the last like 3 or 4 years at Jay's place out there.
Yeah.
And I haven't even seen a bear. Then I leave last year, and Sam, his fiance, is there, and one comes up almost comes in the damn cabin, comes up to the screen, like
For
smelling
sure.
around. I'm like, I was there for 10 days, hunting
Yeah.
hard,
Yep.
and didn't see one. And you had one
Yep.
almost come in the cabin, but that's just how it goes.
Where are you guys hunting in Montana?
He has a place about 80 miles north of Bozeman.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
up in the mountains there, it's beautiful. So
Absolutely, man.
but I might head out there again mid next month with a few guys, try to do a little spring bear hunting.
Yep. I think I'm going to try and get that same. And just even 4 or 5 days this time of year where you're just really, again, craving that time in the woods, right? You can go hunt turkeys and bears, and that's what you've got right now. And yeah, it's just, again, that time just to sit and be quiet, watch the hillside for a full day.
Yeah.
Nothing else to do.
There's nothing like it. So,
Yep. No, it's wonderful, man. It's, it's good. It is cathartic, man. I think it's, again, as you're trying to push, right? I think every man should go do that. I think that's part of your mission. That's part of our mission with Ruckless, is just get as many guys outside as we can get, because we know for that mental health piece, that heart health piece. It's also where I think guys do it. They know they can go sit in camp and they can talk and they have real conversations, because we're just not good at that as men, having those good, deep kind of conversations and digging in on stuff. And I think hunting camp or fishing, fishing a boat, sitting in a deer blind, a goose blind, something, it gives us that time to secretly, like, we're not good at saying, hey, do you want to have a cup of coffee and just talk about life? Like, that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
But those things naturally come out when we're in those situations. I think that's kind of part of why we do it,
Yeah, I completely agree. It's the all encompassing. It's the time outdoors, the time around the campfire, all that in the evening, and it's just good for the soul. And then you're out there, and that's what I call it, tree stand therapy, man. And it just, everyone feels more approachable almost too, right? And you could talk about things because part of the reason probably is you're stuck in the blind next to somebody, right? So you're going to have a little chit chat too. But typically that conversation has a more depth than it would anywhere else.
Absolutely, man. Did you hunt as a kid? Was that something that were you trying to get outside and shoot rabbits or any of that? What was 12-year-old Sam up to, man?
Let's see. I was born in Illinois and lived on a small farm out there. And when I say farm, it was all, timber and everything. So we just lived in the country, I guess is a better way to put it.
Yeah.
And I was the youngest of 3. So my older brother got his Red Ryder. I don't know, maybe he had to be 5 or 6. I can't remember. And I was supposed to.
How many times did he shoot you with that thing?
Probably a dozen boxes of copperhead BBs at me. You know what I mean?
Our brother
And
Adam still has a BB in his ass.
oh, good
He
for
still
him.
has one in there, not from a Red Ryder. It was one of those pump ones that some
Yeah,
asshole came out to the ranch and
we never got
shot
pump
him.
ones. Yeah, we just
Thank
had
God, because
the
you'd
old Red
have the
Riders.
BBs in you still today. Yeah, yeah,
And so I would borrow his. So eventually I got mine, and him and I would just go out in the woods and build forts and shoot shit all day long. And
absolutely.
then moved away from there, went to St. Louis and didn't do, any hunting as a little kid. But when
Yeah,
then my dad got stationed in Northern California, and became really good friends with a kid by the name of Joe Thomas, and his dad would bring me all the time. We'd go, they were big duck hunters and pheasant hunters. So I would
yeah,
just go with them all the time, every chance I got. And that's when I
mhm,
really got into hunting. And then I was always into fishing. I fished a lot as a kid. And
yeah,
then once I got to Virginia Beach and I was in the SEAL teams, I was just asking around for a place to hunt. And a guy in my platoon knew of a gentleman or another teen guy. His dad had a lease in this place called Emporia, which is about an hour and like 45 minutes from Virginia Beach. And I
yep,
drove out there and joined that lease and started deer hunting. And that's really all she wrote. But deer hunting out in Virginia is hard because we are on a smaller lease, is I think we had 800 acres and they ran dogs, right? So, but we didn't run dogs. So
oh,
there's tons of pressure. And, and I would go up there almost every weekend. This is, before kids, every weekend, and then, and maybe shoot a couple deer a year at the most, right? Then,
yeah,
a guy in my platoon, named, Morgan Luttrell, who's a congressman now in Texas. He's like, you need to come hunt in
mm-hmm,
Texas. He's like, let me bring you to Texas. So we go to Texas and, go out there early one morning, and then I'm looking up, and the sun's coming up, and there's already a couple deer out there in the pen, and that feeder
yeah,
goes off, and I see more deer in 5 minutes than I'd seen in the last 2 years. I'm like,
yeah,
then I start doing the math. I'm like, okay, so every weekend I got gas, I got poker money, I got beer, I got food. I'm like, that's a $500 weekend. I'm like, okay, I can come to Texas 4 times a year and break even, right? And
yeah,
so that's what I started doing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And Texas, I mean, it had to feel. I've never hunted down there, but it had to feel just like heaven compared
Oh,
to
I
those
love
states where
hunting
you're
in
just getting
Texas.
hammered.
Deer hunting
Yeah,
in Texas is one of my. Texas is probably my favorite place to deer hunt. So I've been,
yeah,
very fortunate to meet some great people down there and have some great
yeah.
friends that have some property and that allow me to come out. So I'm extremely thankful for that. So
I
it
love
changed
it,
my life.
man.
Yeah.
I love it.
Hmm.
Before we wrap up today, man, I think kind of speaking of that 12-year-old version of Sam, uh, if 12-year-old you saw you today, like what would he be most proud about? What would he be most excited about as he sees your life and where you're at and what you're doing? What would he look at and go, this is awesome?
Oh man.
The little kid with the Red Ryder BB gun hanging out in the woods.
Yeah, but probably just it's not one thing, but the collective group of unique skills that I have, that like I
Mm-hmm.
forget I have that, I could be extremely appealing to a little boy, like, hey, I could build a fort and I could, build a fire. I could, teach you how to sleep outside. I could shoot. I could, and it's just weird things
Yeah.
that, weird skills I've gathered over the course of my life that I think are very appealing to a young man. And then I would say I would enjoy that probably more than he would, but
Yeah.
I think just the collective group of skills that I have and my life experiences, I think that'd be cool. And I think a 12-year-old boy would think the Navy SEAL thing was pretty cool and not care about
He would.
cups. You know what I mean? So,
Yeah.
but,
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah, I wouldn't put it on one thing to be proud of. I'm still trying to figure it out just like everybody else.
I
So,
love it. What would you tell him? Like, what would your advice to be to that kid
uh,
uh,
in just
today?
in general,
Yeah.
uh, you could do anything you want in life. Anything. There's no boundaries, right? And
Yeah.
things seem impossible just because no one's done it yet. They're not impossible. No one's just done it yet. So if you want to do something, do it. That's all you have to do. And
Yeah.
anything is possible. Like you could. I was. I was a troubled kid. I joined the Navy to get off probation, like the old go to war, go to jail, and so I've
Yeah.
been on I've had the highs and the lows, and anything is possible if you put your mind to it. And your minds are so
Right.
much stronger than we could ever imagine or fathom. And our ability to will yourself to a win is there. Like I
Yeah.
was too big, I was too slow, to get through buds, and I did it just because I willed myself across the finish line. So
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
the willpower is and your mind is extremely powerful, man. So
Yep.
I would just try to, of course, I wouldn't tell him that, being a 12-year-old boy, but I would, layer
Yeah.
that in and make sure he knew those principles.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Dude, as we wrap up, man, how do we support you guys at Outsider with what you're doing? You, the brand, everything. Like, how does our team kind of have your back
Absolutely.
on what you
Yeah,
guys are up to,
just
man?
go to outsider.com, check out what we have going on. Jay and I have a podcast called Take It Outside. There's a link for it on our podcast there. And find us
Yeah.
on, Instagram at Outsider IG, and just give us a follow and check out all our products. If you like them, pick some up. We got a big spring sale going on right now, trying to get rid of some legacy apparel. So go check that out. And I appreciate any and all support. I wholeheartely do, man.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I love it, man. You guys are genuine. We all have a little bit of your guys' product. I love it. I love that, it's got a mission behind it as well. I mean, there's lots of cups a guy can use, but it's fun to back somebody that's doing something really cool. And I think the innovation there with the handle, I got to send you a fun picture of me in a deer stand, holding on to your cup again, watching ducks. That exact right there. Yep, exactly. And what my brother Adam and I love is like that particular handle will hook on the edge of a tree stand nicely too. Yeah. So you can just kind of like it's just made for a deer stand, man.
I appreciate
it is. And so it's we love what you guys are up to, man. Love the mission. Support you any way we can. And so dude, thank you so much for the time this morning and getting to chat a little bit, and we'll do it again, because I'm still super curious about so much of what you've got going on in your life, and I felt like we just scratched the surface of what you're up to and who you are, man.
Absolutely. And I appreciate you having me on. I'll come back on anytime. More than anything, it was great catching up with you guys and seeing you guys.
Yes.
The podcast is a great addition to our conversation, but I just enjoy BSing with you guys, man.
For sure, brother.
Anything, so.
Absolutely. All right, brother, man. Well, I appreciate you again. We'll wrap it up and we'll see you on the next one. Okay.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you guys. Thank you so much.
All right, Sam.
Yep.
Yeah, bro. Talk to you.
Out of here.
All right. Welcome back, family. Thank you for listening to us with Sam on the FOC podcast. Absolutely loved it. Hope you did as well. Just want to say thank you to Runkless for letting us do this every day. Remind you guys to go check out our boys at the GOT Outpost, Jay and Drew over there. Really just kicking ass on educating us on what gear to use and where. So thank you for listening. We'll see you next week.
Oodle-lolly, golly, what a day.